coming up on today's Wild West. We'll take you to Rawhide Ranch in California, a western town summer camp for kids where horses help build character. And we'll visit the Montana studio of a truly unique western artist. Hi, I'm Mark Bedore. Today's Wild West is in northern New Mexico. We're on the Chuckwagon Trail Ride, a ride of great horses, great scenery, and great people. We'll take you along coming up next on today's Wild West. The Wild West. It's still out there. We'll show you how to find it. This is today's Wild West.
Yes, sir. If friends are hard to find, I wouldn't trade mine. Any kind that'll be there till the end.
It's evening at a remote ranch in northern New Mexico as Jeff Norris and his band play his original song, Old Friends, the perfect soundtrack that captures what the annual Chuckwagon Trail Ride is all about.
It's just about coming out and enjoying this beautiful space and having a chance to ride our horses and be with a great bunch of guys.
Every June for more than 60 years, men have come here from all over the country to take a break from the daily routine, saddle up, and enjoy the beauty of New Mexico.
Something happens when people are up here. They seem to relax, and when you're relaxed and feel comfortable and they're eating together and having fun together and riding together, and I mean, there's lasting friendships that are made.
For the better part of a week, some 65 guys spend their days on a nice relaxed trail ride, soaking in the scenery and getting to know each other. And it doesn't take long to discover what an interesting bunch they are.
Air Force.
Well, what'd you fly?
Everything.
86-year-old Dusty Davis flew F-15s during his 30 years in the Air Force and raised horses after he retired. So what's more exciting, flying a fighter jet or riding a horse?
Oh, they're both about the same risk.
As a government hunter, I learned how to track and how to use a rifle well. And
Lauren Skyhorse builds custom saddles in Colorado and once worked in Alaska as a government hunter.
so they hired me to go to the Aleutian Islands. Fish and Wildlife Service hired me to join their project, which was to try to save a bird from extinction. That bird is the Aleutian Canadian goose.
I was too young to have a driver's license.
As a kid in Colorado, Mike Kennedy used to commute horseback to his gas station job in Estes Park.
In the evening, saddle up and head home. I was tired, I'd go to sleep. But old horse take me home, stop at one gate, and wait for me to wake up and get on home and have supper.
I've always wanted to do this. So it's really a dream come true.
Such a pleasant group to be around, and quite a variety of privately owned horses they ride as well, including Tennessee Walkers, Mustangs, Foxtrotters, and mules. So now why do you guys prefer mules?
Well, I could give you my dude answer, which is anybody can ride a horse, but that's...
Former New Mexico State veterinarian Dr. David Fly owns a bunch of mules.
How many mules do you have?
Oh, that's a question my wife often asks me, and I say, you never count them. We got about 10. The rest of them are driving mules.
He's here riding his wife's mule, Silky, who's been a little sulky. At the Cadillac of the family?
Yeah, she is, and she's pretty spoiled. She has her own, she's mad this morning that the culinary offering wasn't quite to her taking this morning.
Oh, is that right?
So she sulked a little bit.
Doc Fly's ancestors include frontier photographer C.S. Fly, who witnessed Wyatt Earp's 1881 gunfight at the OK Corral in Tombstone, Arizona. The Fly family has been a mule family for generations.
Yeah, I've got pictures of my great-great-grandfather farming with mules.
Doc Fly carries on the tradition and enjoys hitching his mules up to drive his collection of horse-drawn wagons.
They're just fun.
Every rider has a story, and at one time the Chuckwagon had well over 100 riders. It began as a point-to-point trek that moved camp every day. It's now a wagon wheel ride, with each day's ride going out of a single base camp. That makes logistics easier, and the Chuckwagon is now limited to about 65 riders.
And in the early years when I came, we had about 120 riders, and you could be in camp for 5 days and not necessarily see everybody. So we decided we'd like to collapse the group a little bit. That way everybody gets to interact with everybody. There's no separation. There's no big cliques that form within the overall group. So it's very cordial.
About half of the guys on the Chuckwagon ride bring their own horses. The rest of us ride rental horses provided by Kim Chesser of New Mexico's Burtwell Guest Ranch. But finding horses that can fit riders of any size and ability is no easy task.
I probably buy 4 horses to every one that I keep. I buy horses all the time, but I just don't, most of them don't work out.
He says retired ranch horses make great dude horses, but there aren't as many as there used to be.
Because nobody rides horses anymore. I mean, that's back when, years ago, when everybody rode horses on these ranches, you could buy these old ranch horses and shoot, they were genuine, they had been there and done that. But now, you have horses that are old and they've never done anything.
Because everybody's using ATVs?
I think that's probably the case.
Despite the challenges, he still gets it done, and it's a busy morning as Kim, son Ty, and wrangler Kenneth Thomas get horses saddled and stirrups adjusted. But before any guest gets on, the crew takes every single animal out for a test ride.
Ooh, he's ready.
And no matter if they're the gentlest kid horse we have, we get on everyone we saddle and ride them around a little bit. And it doesn't happen very often, but occasionally something's hooked up wrong or something. And I mean, if there's anything goes wrong, we want it to go wrong with us.
Still, horseback riding is always an adventure. Anytime you swing into the saddle, anything can happen. Like coming over a ridge and seeing an amazing herd of elk, including a bunch of babies. What a treat that was. Our trail would cross elk herds during 2 of our rides, and I spotted a small group of those majestic animals during a morning walk near camp. Wildlife, sunrises, beautiful country, and a mysterious rock wall out in the middle of nowhere were among the memorable highlights. But we are riding horses in rugged country, and there can be some bumps and bruises along the way.
No business is good business.
Yeah, no business is the best business.
Which is why EMT Fernando Medina and Nurse Leslie Smith are along for the ride.
These cowboys are tough. They bounce well. They don't get hurt too much.
With a satellite phone, a defibrillator, and other gear, our medical crew is ready for anything. But mostly, they just enjoy the ride along with everybody else. Chuckwagon wranglers, easy to spot in their red vests, are also along to help anyone who might need a hand.
I'm pulling up drag, just making sure everybody stays together, make sure we don't leave anybody.
Back at camp, the Chuckwagon features another nice amenity no real Chuckwagon ever had: hot showers, a state-of-the-art mobile bathroom.
Look at the size of that bug.
And how many camping trips feature steak and lobster for dinner?
Thanks, sir. You're welcome.
It's incredible. Sleeping on the ground, eating lobster.
With a glass of wine, or perhaps your favorite cocktail.
They keep coming back, and that's a sign of success. These are thirsty cowboys.
A couple of little flapjacks.
These guys do it upright 3 times a day, every day, including breakfasts with hot pancakes and made-to-order omelets. The crew even met us one day with a hot lunch along the trail.
Lobster tail and chicken cordon bleu and salmon on the trail. It's one of the few places where you go camping for 5 days and actually gain weight.
But as great as it all is, there's something deeper that brings these guys back together year after year.
It becomes like a fraternity. I mean, many of us have been here. I've been here for 12 years. Many of the guys have been here for 20 years. And we have guys that come up every year now that don't ride anymore, but they just want to see their buddies. It's like an annual reunion.
As one rider put it, it's like an extended family. But families can have sorrow as well. There were prayers for a rider at home in the hospital and memories of another friend whose saddle is now empty. Edwin Alderson was a beloved, prominent member who made such an impact on those who knew him. The Chuckwagon's top award is now named in his honor.
He really did inspire a lot of us.
I just love this ride, and I'm so glad it survived. And I can't thank you enough. That's all I can say.
Scott Eccleston received the first award named in Edwin's honor for all he's done for the group over the years.
It's the guys, it's the horses, it's the cowboy way.
way, it's this beautiful scenery. It's all of that stuff that just works for me.
Everybody here loves this ride. The Chuckwagon ride is invitation only, but they are looking for new members.
We really encourage new members. Our attitude is that we're not really in the trail riding business, we're in the hospitality business. We want people to come and have a good time. So we bend over backwards to try to be welcoming and accommodating for new riders, make sure they're having a good time, and safe. Safety is a really big issue for us.
And Howard and his friends would like nothing better than to keep the Chuckwagon ride rolling for another 60 years.
That's the way it is with old friends. That's the way it is. Hey, thank you.
Up next, we'll show you how horses are helping to build young lives at an acclaimed California summer camp, Rawhide Ranch. It's Friday afternoon at Rawhide Ranch in Southern California. Kids who've spent the week at this unique summer camp are showing off their new equestrian skills to their proud parents in the grandstand. Some of whom may be watching in amazement. These young people confidently riding in this arena with only a bareback pad, no saddle, likely include some who'd never sat on a horse before they came to camp and may have been terrified of horses. Overcoming that fear and replacing it with self-confidence is just one of the profound lessons learned during a life-changing week at Rawhide.
You can't take that away from a kid. Nothing that you do in their life will take that away. That thought that, hey, I don't have to live my life being subject to the whims of what I'm afraid of. I can conquer things that I'm afraid of. That's a really good life skill. You've never heard of goat yoga? Oh, it's crazy.
Scott Coop, affectionately known here as simply Coop, is in charge of this oasis for children between the ages of 7 and 15. The 40-acre camp is just minutes away from busy Interstate 15 north of San Diego. But step inside the gate and it feels like you're a million miles away and 100 years back in time.
The adventure. It's that a kid now is transplanted into a place that speaks of adventure and of another time when life was really raw and real.
Rawhide Ranch is laid out like an Old West town with a bit of humor mixed in. And while it's of course fun, there's a reason for the Western ambiance.
It gives them a sense of environment that is just big enough for them. So they can come here and within the first couple of days that they're here, they really feel like Rawhide Ranch, this is a town and I live in this town. I know the streets, I know where each building is, I know where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do. It just has a very satisfying, freeing feeling in the kids. You see it as they walk down Main Street, as they just look around and see, hey, this is a place where I belong.
It's Old West 24/7 at Rawhide. The 160 campers spend their nights sleeping in a covered wagon camp, or in teepees at an Indian village, or perhaps in a tent at a cavalry fort. But come sunup, no one spends much time in their bunk.
It's very active. They sleep really well. They go to bed at 9 o'clock at night,
Rawhide streets are deserted much of the day because everyone here is busy with activities. The rifle range, archery, climbing tower, just to name a few. And everyone learns to ride without using a saddle. It's not an easy way to learn, but a very effective one.
There's really a good way to do it, and then there's an easy way to do it. So we want to pick the good way. We want to pick a way to teach horsemanship that's going to last for them. So even though it's a lot more difficult for them to start and learn to do, once they master that, we've got little 7 and 8 and 9-year-old horsemen and horsewomen who are out there really, really learning how to ride. And so, yeah, it's difficult to do it like that, but once you master that, and because we take them by the hand, and we start real slow from square one, they can master that by the time they're done with that. So that, yes, it's harder, but by the time they earn their saddle, they've really done something significant, and they know that.
Kids work their way up the riding ranks, from ranch hand to buckaroo to wrangler, where they finally ride in a saddle. And for even more of a horseback challenge, there's equestrian vaulting, horseback gymnastics. Not easy.
It's really tough. It's the balance. I think that's like the hardest thing is just keeping balance. But I like the challenge. Even though it's not always perfect sometimes, I like just working at it and trying to get better at it, really.
Well, here's something we see often here. The kid first sees the instructor do it, and then they are told that they're going to do it, and they see this sort of big look in their eye that says, I could never do that in a million years. And then lo and behold, they do it. And when they do it, we see this so often, the kid on the back of the horse doing that maneuver, and all of a sudden, this giant smile just lights up their face. And when that happens, we know that something happened, not just physically on the back of that horse, but something touched that kid's heart. Now that kid knows, hey, I can do things that I never thought I could do.
Rawhide keeps about 60 horses, half of those quarter horses. But it takes a wide variety of horses for all the different ages, abilities, and equestrian events at the ranch, which includes learning how to drive a cart.
So we have to have horses that can take any kid, any rider, any size, at any time. So we have to have that horse that will just take really good care of those first-time riders. But then we have to have horses that can do barrel racing, you know, jumping and even some trail. We have to have horses that can do a cross-section of everything.
We love the horses, but they're kind of our tools to get to the deeper meaning, so it's a lot of fun. We teach them without knowing they're learning.
It takes a very special group of staff members to make all this happen, like Ellen Morrissey, a longtime staffer originally from Scotland.
I believe in what we do. I think that in today's society we need a place that's here to foster kids where they can build organic and natural relationships. Without any distractions, there's no technology, there's no phones, there's no Snapchat and Instagram, so it's back to the basics and it's really, I like it.
We're very picky and selective over who works here. And we're very fortunate to have the people here that are here, because at the end of the day, it's really about them, what they bring to the table. It's a real blessing to be able to work with them.
Along with the horses, Rawhide is home to lots of other animals too. Chickens, pigs, goats, alpacas, and more. Animal science is a key part of the curriculum, and animal showmanship is a major part of the Friday afternoon arena program. All those animals have to be cared for every day, fed, watered, and have their pens cleaned. But that's another activity with a built-in lesson.
Again, I think it's just that sense of responsibility and personal growth. When they go and they clean the pen, they feed and water, those are things that have to be done. They're not doing it just for fun. Those are real animals who really need someone to take care of them in that way. And there's just really no substitute in the heart of that kid when they go home knowing that they took care of someone else, they helped feed and water those animals, and it was a chore that really needed to be done. That's doing work that needs to be done and doing it well. That's a good human quality. That's a good character trait.
Whatever love the campers may give to those critters, they get back even more. It's easy to forget that even kids from affluent neighborhoods can have a tough time growing up. And Coop says a little unconditional love from even one of Rawhide's beloved dogs can go a long way.
Everybody loves Lola. She's a very important part of the strategy of Rawhide Ranch, making kids feel at home. And
very fun place, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The best.
The best?
Yep.
Along with learning to care for the animals, the campers learn to care for each other. The wide age range of the campers, 7 to 15, is part of the plan.
Well, one of our core values here is to teach the kids about being in a caring community. It's more difficult to do that if everybody's the exact same age. And so there's a continuum of starting with the kids at 7 years old, going to camp with 15-year-olds, where new kids are sort of shepherded by the older kids are shepherded by the younger staff are shepherded by the older staff. It's really what a community is supposed to be, a real working, caring community. So we really like it that the younger kids come with the older kids, and that relationship with the younger kids and the older kids is just as important for both. The older kids really need to learn what it is to help someone younger along the way, so we put them, the older, more accomplished kids, we put them in with the beginning kids riding class and some of their experiences so they can say, hey, I was just like you. And then I learned this, and now I have this experience and this confidence, and you're going to be like me too.
The program isn't much different than the one Clarence Chown and his wife Mary Jean created when they founded Rawhide back in the 1960s, naming the ranch after a popular TV Western of the era. While not a Christian camp per se, Mr. C and Mother Mick, as they were affectionately known, wanted to share their faith and love for kids. But they also wanted to introduce a set of values to a generation growing up watching TV on a couch. There's none of that at Rawhide, and just like 50 years ago, you'll never see a cell phone, iPad, or laptop at Rawhide, which perhaps, surprisingly, the kids willingly agreed to do without. But it doesn't take long for them to get immersed in their new world.
They're just busy and active. I just can't, as I see these kids and the smiles on their faces and the deep, I think, learning that they're doing, that's going on here, I just have a sense that this is how it's supposed to be. I think this is what it has meant to been all along. And some of these kids are finding that here, even if it's just for a week of their life. They find it and they love it.
Well, I just love being with horses and all the animals. I love the people here, the horses, and just like all the fun things we do here and stuff. I just love it.
All it takes is a couple of hours here to know what a special place this is, one that both campers and their parents have been falling in love with for generations.
I came here 40 years ago.
You did?
For my first time.
Wow.
Yep, but I slept in that covered wagon over there one year, slept at the fort. It's exactly the same.
Really?
I was pretty much in tears today. It was really, really memorable.
I really like the belting and the riding.
Yeah? Want to come back?
Yeah.
That our flag was still there.
Rawhide's core values are known as CHIRP. That's short for caring, hard work, integrity, respect, and personal growth. Even in these divided times, who can argue with that? And where better to learn those timeless values than horseback in an Old West town known as Rawhide Ranch.
We all see everything that's here as a tool, making a difference in kids' lives.
Just ahead, a visit to the Montana studio of a different kind of Western artist.
These are silks from old tobacco pouches.
Inside an ordinary-looking house in Great Falls, Montana.
Those are really cool.
You'll find the studio and personal art gallery of an extraordinarily talented couple, artists Echo and Ron Ukrainitz. It's a home chock full of wonderful art, mostly Western, like Ron's striking clayboard engraving of a Native American headdress.
That is awesome.
Ron's not home today.
That's what I like to do with pieces.
So we'll focus on Echo's impressive and unusual work known as fine art batik.
I always say I'm a frustrated oil painter.
And her favorite subject, her true passion, is recreating turn-of-the-century photographs of American Indians, like those of famed photographer Edward R. Curtis.
Black man Arapaho.
Mm-hmm. When I start, I have this idea that it's going to look like an oil painting. And I call it getting to France. If I could get to France. I get to Holland, but I don't ever get to France. I take the photograph after I draw it, and then I put it on here and I start batiking.
Batik is a creative process of applying alternating wax and dye treatments to an outline of whatever picture Echo is creating on a high-quality stretched cloth.
And I put the wax on with brushes, and then I have my dyes. I draw on the bird, and then I put some wax.
Echo has produced a small book explaining how batik is done.
Then I dye it this color.
And there's a detailed description of the process on her website.
And then the piece is done. Not a well-known technique in the art world. It's a very ancient technique.
A finished piece has the feel of stiff cardboard, which then goes into a freezer and comes out for a bit of what Echo calls crackle.
By crackle is I bend and break the wax. So I get just a little crackle, which is typical of batik.
A final treatment with black dye fills in the crackle breaks, and at the very end of the process, the wax is removed, and the results are both fascinating and unpredictable.
I don't know what it's going to look like until I get the wax out, because I don't know if the wax has stopped the dye or what.
The self-taught artist consistently turns out intriguing pieces of eye-catching color, unlike anything you've ever seen.
I love the fact that they're black and white photographs. So I can do anything I want with color.
And no two are alike.
And I don't have any desire to do prints. I guess I'm not doing it to be rich. I'm doing it because each one, I want to see how far I can push the medium.
Echo's batiks each have their own story, especially the Native American images. And while she started out with Curtis, Echo now uses images from other historic photographers of the era, like Gertrude Casebear.
She had such a rapport with them. There's one that's Joe Blackfox. He's got a glint in his eye.
Bringing out the eyes is a trademark of an Echo batik. It's as if she brings her subjects back to life.
After about 4 or 5 dye baths on the face, I can hold it up to the light and see the eyes looking back at me. And that's what I like. That makes the person looking at the artwork a participant in the piece.
And while her history is accurate,
and that's a Kootenai flathead,
Echo does take artistic license with her colors.
Ron is historically authentic. And he said, no, that wouldn't be that color. And I said, I don't care. I like that color.
Echo's a regular at her hometown's famous Russell Auction Art Show at the C.M. Russell Museum in Great Falls, and her work has also been featured at the Briscoe Western Art Museum in San Antonio.
I'm at a sweet spot because I can make them, I can sell them, and then I can make some more.
What a talented couple you two are.
We have fun. We have fun.
That's it for now. We're back next time with more cool stuff from today's Wild West. I'm Mark Bedore. We'll see you down the trail. For more information on the people and places featured in today's Wild West, or to order show DVDs and books, visit todayswildwest.com. Funding for Today's Wild West provided by the Montana Film Commission, the Leggett Foundation, the Chuckwagon Trail Riders Foundation, the Dude Ranchers Association, and the Dude Ranch Foundation.